Good morning, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Sac City Podcast. I'm your host, the one and only Vinny Milani.
I got you. You get in trouble. You in trouble. That's what it is.
I'm not.
You in trouble.
I'm not in trouble, but honestly, I'm playing around with new ways to intro the show. Like in my head, while the intro is happening, I practiced that to see if I like the way it was going to go, because I'm trying to figure out ways, because I cannot do my normal, very loud intro. I can't do that because I will get in trouble. But I'm just testing new things, seeing which one sticks. That one obviously
randomly woke up and started testing stuff.
He said, I thought the guy had surgery, to be honest.
Alicia beat his ass in the car is what it was. She hit him with the seatbelt and said, if you scream one more time when I'm trying to sleep, we don't have a problem.
I'm just waiting for her to come by my door, just like with a death stare in the dark, because like the hallway's dark. She's going to give me the evil eyes, like she's going to come in and murder me. But I digress. Welcome in, everybody, to the Sac City Podcast. I'm your host, the one and only Vinny Milani, joined as always by your boy, the reigning, defending, undisputed, somewhat heavyweight valedictorian of the show, AJ Johnson.
At least another week.
One more week. You have one more week of being called the valedictorian until Dylan takes that crown. But Dylan needs it, honestly, because he does not have a very long intro, because he is just the smoothest voice in sportscasting. Dylan, he will surprise everybody. I will be saying very heavyweight valedictorian of the show when it gets around. But there's AJ Johnson. There's the smoothest voice in sportscasting, Dylan Kearns, and of course, my best friend in the bottom right corner, Aaron the Mukesiah Mukes. It is a beautiful June 24th morning here in the city. Episode 46 is about to kick off. It's a Fun and Games Friday morning edition. This is how we're going to be doing it from now on. This is a special Fun and Games Friday because it's 10 o'clock in the morning and everybody's waking up to some fun and games. Like, this is the right way you should be waking up, really, like, to this show. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Dylan, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm wearing a nice shirt. I know I roasted Mr. Aaron the last time, Mr. Soup Boy down there, but I realized, I should probably start incorporating some more Sac City stuff into my reel. And I realized, man, I got a backwards hat and an ugly ass shirt on for most of the time. So maybe I get a few takes in here wearing a good shirt. But no, I'm doing all right. Just towards that first line, hitting the bumpers, hitting the gas pedal, and just going as far as I can this last few days of being a school student. I will be an alumnus coming in a few weeks. So that's saying something. Nearing the finish line, we're all going to be graduates, fellas. We're getting old.
I think it's fair, especially fair to AJ here to say this, but because Dylan, you probably won't be on the show next week at all because your graduation festivities, I feel it's only fair to do this one last time because we're never going to be able to do this again. AJ, what are your plans on Sunday? Are you free Sunday? You have anything going on Sunday?
So free. I don't have any assignments. Like, I don't have to do a career module.
Aaron, tests. You free? You got anything going on?
I'm free. I got no school, no family, no nothing. I barely got a place to live.
Well, Dylan, have fun doing homework one last Sunday because none of us have to
be free on Sunday, but circumstances apply.
Well,
I should be free on Sunday.
Wakaiva might have other plans for you on Sunday. So
Dylan, you mentioned wearing a nice shirt so you can perhaps pull some stuff for your reel off of Sac City. If you get a good take in a nice shirt. Probably not going to happen, buddy. I don't think you've had a good take in quite some time. So
exactly where you're going.
Just thinking about that, you might want to just put it on mute and just so they think you're saying something.
Dub one of our other takes over your lip movements. It's gonna be like one of those old. You remember those Japanese shows on Spike TV at 2:00 in the morning where it's just like it's great shows. Great.
Or what about? I also want to bring up one other thing. I feel like Michael Jordan. I feel like Michael Jordan. No. Hear me out. Because I went and I won all these championships. I was the valedictorian. Then AJ came along like Kobe Bean Bryant and was like, maybe this is the next Jordan. but they was, it was like living in the now. And then Dylan comes along like, I don't even want to say LeBron James, but he got the first 100 in Rishi's class. So like LeBron James, and then now we have to hear people talk about he's the new valedictorian, the new champ. He gave the whole Aaron Rodgers, except his was a lot bigger belt. And the fact of the matter is I'm still the original. I'm the GOAT. So let's calm down and pump the brakes on the whole
Aaron
new
Dylan.
valedictorian and all this
Hold
stuff.
up.
I'm still the one that set the tone for this movement.
I didn't get the 100 because there was a referee problem with making bad calls. Had I been able to shoot my own stand-up, I would have had the extra 7 points.
I'm about to.
I missed it by literally
Hold on. I'm about to add. We're about to get rid of AJ. You are about to lose.
Themselves a part of the game.
AJ, you're about to lose a nickname come next week because Dylan's going to have the valedictorian crown. I am going to add the king of excuses to your nickname before every show.
Mr. Excuse himself.
Welcome in, everybody. I'm joined, as always, by your boy, the king of excuses, AJ.
The thing, AJ, is you give an explanation and you say it's an explanation,
but we
hear it as an excuse. So regardless, you got to just own it. You got to just own it.
I own that the refs made a bad call on the whistle. That's just what it is.
Either way, you actually sound like John Cooper last night saying that there was too many men on the ice and crying and just fishing for some reason why you lost in overtime.
That's what they do in Tampa. It's what they do.
It's okay. It makes sense. It all adds up. But hey, Aaron, you talked about your Jordan and your Kobe and your LeBron.
And your Dennis Rodman.
No. I'm okay. I'm okay. Being Steph Curry getting not that much credit, but I do have the most course director awards out of everybody here.
He does.
So just want to throw that out there.
So Radcliffe actually kind of forgot to submit my.
I'm not doing these excuses anymore. This guy can just get out of here.
No way he did that on purpose, right?
Without
these
excuses.
He did it on purpose. He knew where this was going.
This guy, unbelievable.
Forgot to submit mine. I might have believed that if you said Jamila.
Jamila doesn't even know that they have course director awards, bro.
Damn.
What?
We name dropping hard. We name dropping hard on the show. All right, we're 10 minutes into this.
We can't relax. Jamila relax for all of us.
Hey,
every damn month.
My favorite assignment was in Jamila's class. So shout out.
Likewise. Imagine if we had an attentive professor for that class. How good it could have been.
Damn, AJ's throwing quality shade.
Man. Hey, AJ, they are hiring.
Hey, the sun was out and now it's not.
They are hiring for instructors at Full Sail, though. You might be able to slide in there and take over. Shoot your shot, buddy. Shoot your shot. All right. Let's get into the football talk. We're now 10 minutes into the show and have talked nothing about actual football here. Let's get into the morning headlines, and there really is just one morning headline for you guys. It's about Alvin Kamara and the reports coming out from Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio. He says that Saints running back Alvin Kamara is bracing for a suspension of at least 6 games this coming season, coming off of he's facing a felony battery charges for allegedly throwing some punches at an incident at Allegiant Stadium at Las Vegas. What does this mean for Alvin Kamara's fantasy value and Mark Ingram's fantasy value this coming 2022 season, Aaron?
Why do you go to me? I want to hear them so I can just bash them after they're done.
Okay.
You're the OG, aren't you? You're the original, right?
That's why I get to lead the way, sir. It's not me.
Well, somebody just AJ, take it over then. If he's too chicken shit to bring it up and
show us your valedictorian skills and let us know what's coming through.
Well, somebody just answer the question.
I'll go because I've been on this stuff since the beginning of the whole thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, don't worry about the Saints." It was in the Saints preview. I was very timid about Kamara. And every other fantasy thing because there was a black cloud around there. His court date kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. That screams something to me that something could be potentially wrong. He's feeling it 6 games. He wasn't in my top 10 rankings because I truly felt there was a punishment coming down from the league on Alvin Kamara. I believe that from the jump. And Aaron over there, fool, it's getting pushed back. It's getting pushed back, fool. That it could keep going all the way back, he says. So I'm sitting here thinking about the whole thing. I believed that there would be punishment for Kamara. Nothing official yet, but he believes it too.
He believes it because Mike Florio told you he believes it? That's what we're going on because Mike Florio says he's bracing for a 6-game suspension. Sure,
yeah.
There's a potential chance that he has a 6-game suspension. I don't think that was an argument, Dylan. Your argument wasn't, hey, Kamara is not a top 10 running back because he's going to get suspended. Your argument is I think he's going to get suspended. No, I think he's going to be suspended. Based. I'm sorry, I'm not going to predict somebody gets suspended, and I don't even have all the facts of the case. We've seen time and time again guys that have gone through stuff that get 2 games, they get 4 games, they get 6 games. They don't get any games. Who knows nowadays? We watch Ray Rice punch his wife, get a year. Josh Gordon gets years for smoking weed. We've had people have other things that didn't get any games. Adrian Peterson beating his kids or whatever doesn't get anything. The NFL has been so inconsistent in how they've addressed these issues that I am not going to predict how many games he gets based on some personal conduct policy. So until Alvin Kamara says, hey, I'm suspended, or the league says, hey, Alvin Kamara is suspended, he's going to be a top fantasy player. And I'm going to tell you again, I hope the league does right and suspends him if he deserves to be suspended. And guess what else I hope? I hope all you people pass on Alvin Kamara, let him drop into the middle rounds where everybody's like, do we want to lose 6 games? Because I will take him first. And guess what he'll do? He'll win me a league because week 7 through 17, he will be the top back that he always is.
What's the earliest you'd go if he is suspended 6 games? What's the earliest round you would start to consider taking him?
I would consider probably round 3, 4.
Okay. Wow.
Yep.
3 hurts, 4 feels okay.
His ADP right now is in round 2, so he is going the 15th pick.
People are already baking in a suspension. That's why it's so low, right? Which again, I don't understand. First of all, I don't understand why anybody's drafting right now, but I don't understand why.
Well, Florio even also said that the question is when the suspension will actually be enacted. The NFL prefers to wait until the criminal process has concluded before imposing discipline via the personal conduct policy.
That's the problem, though. So that's the problem because Dylan talks about keeps getting pushed back. Yeah, the longer this gets pushed back, the longer the NFL waits to suspend him. But if he doesn't go to court August 27th or whatever, guess what's going to happen? The court date will be after the NFL season. It'll be next year, and then he plays an entire season before the NFL even does anything. Because the Saints aren't going to do what they did with Deshaun Watson and inactivate him. Like, he's going to play if he's not suspended. And we've seen this before with guys' court cases that get pushed back. The NFL doesn't like to not have all the full details. And they do want to know if you're going to be charged criminally before they make a suggestion or a suspension.
Well, can it be something like what happened with Ezekiel Elliott a couple years ago? He played a couple games and they enacted the 6-game suspension, right?
Ooh.
What?
I think that was more on him, right?
I don't remember him getting suspended mid-season. I thought he got suspended. I thought he got
played
suspended
like
for the
3
start
or 4 games, and then it was like 6 games in the middle of the season.
Yeah, it did.
Are you talking about? You're talking about 2017?
Yes,
might be. Yeah, I mean, it's a suspension that he had. Yeah, it did not feel like 5 years ago. I'll tell you that.
Those criminal proceedings, not criminal proceedings because it wasn't a criminal proceeding, but they had closed the case on any charges that were going to be handed down to Ezekiel Elliott. So there wasn't anything that the NFL still needed to see from the judicial system in order for them to make their decision, if that makes sense.
In a way. I'm just thinking about right, but I'm just thinking about the possibility of it coming to, you would, like you said, you'd expect for them to host the court day at the end of the season, but that may not end up being the case. No pun intended. It may be a thing where they
never seen a guy go to court in the NFL during the season. I can honestly tell you that I've never seen it.
Yep.
The attorneys are too good. They'll get it because they're out for work. They're traveling everywhere. They can't be in one place at a time. That's their job. Attorneys are too good. They usually push it to right after the season. We saw it with Deshaun Watson. We've seen it with other guys in the past. I've never seen a guy actually have to go to court in these type of situations once the season starts. And again, then you have to have the court hearings. You have to have results. And then the NFL still has to conclude their investigation before he gets suspended. August 27th, obviously, or whatever August date it is, it's going to be a huge day for Alvin Kamara. And I think that's when we'll know a little bit more. But I also get tired of hearing these reports. And that's why I kind of rolled my eyes at the beginning. when are we going to hear about Deshaun Watson? Alvin Kamara, like, who cares at this point?
The reason I wanted to go with it is because it is more than likely Deshaun Watson is going to get some games. We don't know if Kamara is going to get any games, like you just stated, and I wanted to get out there where we think Alvin Kamara should be getting drafted if he does get that 6-game suspension, because we talked about it in last night's show that there's these players like that you just like D-Hop. He is suspended for a certain amount of games, and you know that people are just going to be passing on him because of that. So Kamara could face that same type of situation, and where the earliest we draft Kamara needs to be brought up for our fantasy viewers. We're going
do we look at that differently than if he was injured for 6 games?
I think you do. I mean, like, I get it, you're missing time, but like the injury comes back and some people fear how he comes back. When he's suspended, you're expecting that he's working out and putting in his best foot forward to be prepared when it's time to go. And there's nothing hindering the body, so to speak, when it comes to health. I don't think it's a drastic change or thought process, but I do think it enters the mind for some people.
I guess what I'm saying is Alvin Kamara missed 4 games last year. It was RB8. Like, or why are we dropping him so significantly just because he's missing 6 games? Like, this is a fantasy producer. He has never finished outside the top 9 in fantasy football. That includes injuries. That includes time he's missed. No matter what.
When did he miss those? When did he miss those games? Because I feel like also part of that is when in the season he misses those games. Because even though you're drafting him then and he misses it during the season, it's different than going 6 weeks to start the season without your third round
weeks
pick
10 through 13.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, through weeks 1 through 6, you're trying to get into a good playoff position, get that good record going. And if you're without your third round pick when you could have had someone who could be helping your team right now through weeks 1 through 6, I think that's a big factor as well.
Well, that might be a concern for people that struggle drafting. I can agree with that. But I mean, if you're a confident, we talked about this before. If you're drafting fantasy football, I told you I only draft for the playoffs. I'm not drafting for week 2. I'm not drafting for week 4. I feel confident enough in our skills as fantasy football players that we can put a lineup together weeks 1 through 12 to get us to the playoffs, especially in most leagues where playoffs are like half the league get in the playoffs. Now, if you're playing in some more cutthroat leagues where you're in a 12-team or 14-team league and only 4 teams get in, then you're really running the risk of missing out in that situation. But most leagues, standard 10 or 12-team leagues, half the league gets in the playoffs. I think you're okay with saying I can find me a late-round running back to fill in for Alvin Kamara for 6 weeks when I know what I'm getting for the remainder part of the season.
Fair enough. All right. That does it for our morning headlines presented by the Sac City Podcast. I always want to attach presented by something. We'll get new sponsors eventually. But we're going to get into our tiering it up with the running back position in just a few moments. But first, it's time to play a game. Fun and Games Friday would not be Fun and Games Friday without a little game. And this music is terrible. Why did I pick this song? Let's see if this song works better. Yeah, this is the FGF song here for games. Typical Fun and Games Friday games between AJ versus Aaron versus Dylan. I'm going to give you a list this question, and you have to tell me the players that are listed on the graphic. Today, it is the top 15 most targeted pass catchers from last season. This could be running backs. This could be wide receivers. This can be tight ends. This can be whatever you want. Name the top 15 most targeted pass catchers from last season.
Just targets?
Most targeted. Just targets. Just targets. AJ, start us off.
Mark Andrews.
That is correct. You have 3 strikes. You guys have 3 strikes.
You said Mark Andrews is number 1. It's crazy. Who's next? Me?
Mark Andrews is Mark Andrews is not number 1, though. Just want to
No, he just means that's my first choice.
On the list.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. When you know, you know.
Yep.
Who's next?
Aaron.
Cooper Kupp.
That is number 1. That one is number 1. Dylan.
Devontae Adams.
That is number 2. Yep.
I didn't get one right last time. That feels
AJ.
good.
Travis Kelce.
That is number 13. Yep.
Deontay Johnson.
No, you son of a bitch.
That is number 3. Yep, you guys knocked out the top 3. It's Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, and Deontay Johnson.
Oh, come on, Aaron. You dog. I was gonna go there.
What?
Keenan Allen?
Keenan Allen is number 8 on this list. AJ.
Oof. I just had it and now it's gone. Let me. I was throwing out since I lost my train of thought there. Give me Hunter Renfrow.
That is incorrect.
Yeah.
That is incorrect, and 1 strike for Mr. AJ Johnson.
Justin Jefferson.
That is correct. That is number 4 on the list. Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Deontay Johnson, and Justin Jefferson.
This is bad. It's bad. Michael Pittman.
That is very bad and incorrect. You and AJ have 1 strike.
Ow!
Give me Amari Cooper.
That is incorrect. 2 strikes for Mr. AJ Johnson.
Man, y'all wild, bruh. Stephon Diggs.
Dude!
That is number 5. That is number 5.
You guys are just like leaving out like the best receivers in football.
Yeah, this is tough right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Like when it's my go, I'm missing out on those things.
Mike Evans?
Who?
Mike Evans.
Nope.
See? Wow. You got to start thinking of divisions. If I had the teams in front of me, I got it.
Has 2 strikes.
Hollywood Brown.
Who did you say? Sorry, there's something playing on my computer somewhere, and I cannot find it. What did you say?
I said Hollywood Brown.
That is correct.
Tyreek Hill.
That is correct.
Devontae Smith?
That is incorrect. Dylan, you are eliminated.
I hate this. God damn.
That was a good guess.
Keep going 3rd.
But he was running a lot. Deebo Samuel.
That is incorrect. AJ, you are eliminated. Aaron, you are
you guys don't give me no
survivor.
kind of help.
There is 1, 2, 3, 4 more players remaining.
4?
Would you 4 more players
That's a
remaining?
decent amount of help then.
You guys got 3 strikes already.
Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 5. 5 more players remaining. My apologies.
Yeah, I got 1.
Terry McLaurin.
I think I have 1.
That is correct.
I was about to say Terry, but I
that was the last person I'm going to say.
Terry McLaurin is 15. Aaron, you do not have any strikes yet, so you can keep pumping this one out. You can do this.
DJ Moore.
That is correct. DJ
Wow.
Moore is number 6. Good pull. Good pull.
I know 1 that's on there.
Three remain.
DK Metcalf?
That is incorrect. That is your first strike.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this is there. I will say the remaining 3 are players.
Jalen Waddle?
That is correct. 11.
That's a good one.
That is
really
number
good one.
11. You have 12 and 14 remaining.
I got 12.
I think I do too, is actually.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks?
Brandon Cooks is on there. That's 14.
Dude, that was going to be the second person I said. And I was like, nah, not even that offense.
One more.
Damn.
More.
Let me think about it. Hold on. Let me think about it. Rams, Niners, Cardinals, Seahawks, Packers, Vikings, Lions, no. Bears, no. Tampa, Saints.
I'd waste a strike on that, guess.
Fuck. Somebody has. I already went through the AFC. It's got to be in the NFC. No way. Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney is correct.
What?
That is that is the final guess right there. You got it. That Aaron, you have defeated the List This trivia game. For the I don't think you guys have defeated a List This trivia game yet, and you guys have done it.
It was either Darnell or CeeDee Lamb. I was gonna say, but I was like, CeeDee Lamb didn't get enough targets last year.
I thought about Darren Waller.
Yeah, there was only just the 2 tight ends on there of Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce, but this is the final list. Congratulations, Aaron. Let me pull it up.
What is the final list?
Right, it was StreamYard had it loading. This is it right here. Cooper Kupp number 1, Devontae Adams, Deontay Johnson, Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Mark Andrews, Hollywood Brown, Jalen Waddle, Darnell Mooney, Travis Kelce, Brandon Cooks, and Terry McLaurin round out the top 15 most targeted pass catchers from last season. I really thought that I would have never guessed Darnell Mooney. That was the one that I would have never guessed.
I don't know if this was meant to be a fantasy football question or not, but I just strictly went to fantasy football mode. That's because when you watch regular football, you're not really thinking about that stuff.
So next week, and for the fans, this is why I did this next week, we are breaking down and starting next week off with the AFC West. And I feel like when we go through the AFC West, at least, there's a lot of good conversations about the wide receivers there, whether it's figuring out which ones in Kansas City or Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, or the wide receivers in Denver, or the newly acquired Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow. There's a lot of good wide receiver chatter that I think we're going to have next week that you're not going to want to miss. So this is a little nug to give you a little taste of what's going to happen next week, talking about wide receivers. But tonight we are breaking down we're tearing it up, actually, the best running backs in fantasy football. The conversation all this week has been about running backs. It's been very running back heavy. And these are the categories that we're rolling with here tonight for tearing it up. I'm getting to it, you squinty eye.
Sorry, I got bad eyes, baby boy.
Damn, bro.
Hey, you should see me at work when I'm trying to read the big ass prompter. I'm like,
that dude in the jumpsuit.
So hopefully this is better. Hopefully this is better for you guys. Should I put it like that? I guess I'll keep it like that.
No, that was good. That's good right there.
This is good. So we have our tiers here: running back 1, running back 2, flex, bench, and then I have a red flag category. Last year we kind of put our foot in our mouths by having like a would not touch list, and James Conner ended up on that list, and it ended up coming back to bite us in the ass. So now we're just going with a red flag to say, okay, this running back has some red flags, and I'm not sure if I draft him unless there was good value. I broke it down by divisions here. So the NFC South starts us off, and if you're new to the show, the way we do this here is one person will go with the running back, say where he belongs, and try to convince the rest of the panel why they belong there. AJ, you will start us off first. Alvin Kamara is the first running back. Where does he belong on this list? Now that we consider maybe a possible suspension, maybe we consider him not having a suspension. Where does he belong?
I mean, if it's let's assume it's 6 games at the most, still giving him an RB1 spot, because that's solid 8-9 games that he can come in and do Alvin Kamara things, and the offense is going to be predicated on an Alvin Kamara doing what he does best. I don't think there's much hesitation on the fact that he will end as an RB1 and somebody you depend heavily on. I think it's easy. RB1 Alvin Kamara.
I have no argument here on that.
Can we clarify if any RB1 we're still going along the lines of 12-team leagues, right?
Yep, 12-team leagues. This is a top 12. Yeah, top 12 type of system here that we're going with. So I agree. I think Alvin Kamara is a RB1.
I do as well. I don't think there's a chance Alvin Kamara doesn't finish as a top 12 running back.
Dylan?
I mean, barring a full year suspension or something.
Yeah,
right.
Of course.
If it's 6, if it's anything north of 6, I'd maybe say high end RB2. But with 6, I think that he gets it done. He has big weeks too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's easy layup right there to start off. But now
on the back end, though, let's be clear about that. If you're drafting Alvin Kamara, you're still drafting him at the back end of an RB1. You're not with 6 games. He's not going to produce top 5 running back numbers because he's just not going to have enough time to do it. But the back end of RB1 is right where he belongs.
His counterpart in the backfield, Mark Ingram. Again, if Alvin Kamara suspended 6 games, Mark Ingram might be the guy, the starter for the New Orleans Saints. Where does he belong, Aaron?
In between bench and flex.
There's no spot for that.
There are going to be days where you can play him as a flex play, but then in a lot of games it's going to be a bench player because he's touchdown dependent. He's not going to see enough targets out of the backfield. I would lean towards putting him on the bench. If he does get the 6 games that Alvin Kamara doesn't play, he'll have value. He'll have flex to RB2 value those weeks. But once Alvin Kamara is back, whenever that suspension's over, he'll go right back to being my bench and a pretty good handcuff if Alvin Kamara is hurt or out for an extended period of time.
Agreed. Dylan?
Nope, he's a flex. He's a flex at least. Not at least. I'd say like he's solid. He's a solid flex. I don't think he teeters on that line with bench. This is a guy who's going to start for 6 weeks. Barring what happens with Alvin Kamara. If we're assuming that 6 is the case, I'm getting a starting running back for 6 weeks. And after that, the guy, like you said, he's touchdown dependent when both are on the field. Sometimes he gets carries. He'll get those 28-yard games. Will fall into the end zone once or twice. That's not the best, but still, if you're getting a starting running back for 6 weeks, that guy's going to be solid for you. He could potentially get you wins early in the season. You're 4-2, whatever. That guy's going to help out your football team. That alone makes him a flex throughout the course of the year. I think he can teeter in that area right there.
AJ?
Nah, so I'm going to have to go with bench. I mean, Mark Ingram has been great. We've enjoyed him as a running back throughout the NFL, but the fact of the matter is he's another year older. And last year, granted, he was on multiple different teams with multiple different situations, but only averaged 5.8 points a game. He may be good for 6 games, but at the same time, I don't think you're expecting the old New Orleans Saints Mark Ingram to come in here and run the ball. So I think he's still a bench player. Use him as a flex if you can those first 6 weeks, but
this guy is 32 going on 33 years old. He had 160 carries last year for 554 yards. There is no way in hell the New Orleans Saints, even with Alvin Kamara missing 6 games, are just going to give the bulk of the carries and say, go get him, 33-year-old Mark Ingram. Like, it's not going to happen.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
33-year-old D'Angelo Williams got it done for 6 weeks.
You love D'Angelo Williams.
33-year-old D'Angelo Williams is not Mark Ingram. They're 2 different style of running backs. First of all, Mark Ingram's a bigger, pounded, physical back. He's not going to work as much out of the backfield. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. He'll have weeks where he's good, but he's going to have some where he's not.
We're locking Mark Ingram in the bench position now because Aaron, you said bench. AJ, you said bench. I'm all aboard bench. Sorry, Dylan, you lose this one. Leonard Fournette is next. He finishes RB6 last season. He averaged 18.2 fantasy points a game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No more Ronald Jones there. They did bring in Rashad Evans, the running back out of, I believe it was Arizona.
Rashad White,
the running back out of Arizona in the draft. I think Leonard Fournette is an RB2. Ooh. That's where I have Leonard Fournette this year. I think they really liked what they saw from him last year. For his time in Tampa, I think they really like what they see from him. They're going to continue giving him the rock. I think also in this new system with Todd Bowles being the head coach, I don't think you see as many times where like if he fumbles the ball, he gets taken out, and then you see more of the backup running back. And I think that they lean on Leonard Fournette a lot more this season. We talk about how there's a lot of targets that have left with Gronk and possibly Chris Godwin leaving. Not saying that those targets are going to Leonard Fournette. What I am saying is, though, that they may give him the ball a little bit more now, and I think he ends up being an RB2 this season.
That doesn't make sense to me. RB, I mean, you're killing yourself.
You just contradicted everything you just said by saying he's an RB3.
Lock. And shout out my boys with the Bucks, Mr. D. Delaney, Willington Privilon, Mr. Relevant Grant Stewart, and also Chris Cooper. But looking at the Buccaneers as a whole, Leonard Fournette's going to have a hell of a year. I mean, you mentioned the loss of targets. No Ronald Jones. Thank goodness. That guy was almost a disaster for that backfield. I mean, there were times where like, man, I really hope this guy doesn't turn it over, which he sucked. He sucked, right? But sure, they drafted a rookie. That's nice. major key alert, Keyshawn Vaughn back in the backfield. Other than that, I mean, really, it's Leonard Fournette's show. He's going to get the bulk of carries. Tom Brady's a little bit older. Doesn't matter. I still think they're going to run the ball. He's going to get check downs. He's going to catch the ball a lot, and that's what he's going to do. He's an RB1. Easy.
I think more of what I was getting at for Leonard Fournette was I do think that there are 12 running backs I'd have ahead of Leonard Fournette, but he would be a high-end running back too. But all of you are on the RB1 train for Leonard Fournette?
Leonard Fournette last year only had 180 carries. 180 carries, and he finished as RB6.
RB6.
There's no way. And he only played 14 games.
Yeah.
Like, Leonard Fournette is an RB1 in that offense with Tom Brady. Number one, because Tom Brady trusts him. Number two is because he's the best, most talented back in that backfield. Let's not forget, he's only 27 years old. It's not like this guy is some washed up player. He just left Jacksonville because, everybody leaves Jacksonville.
Everybody leaves Jacksonville.
Because they believed in James Robinson and freed up some money. Shout out.
Yeah, believed in James Robinson, let him go, and then they drafted Travis Etienne. Really believed in him. Yeah,
I digress.
I was still pissed. I was pissed about that. So my take there.
I will give you Jesus Christ, Dylan. With your shout outs, you are just too much. I have no problem putting him at RB1. Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey's next. This is easy, right? This is RB1, and that's it. They just set it, forget it. Christian McCaffrey RB1. Here's where it gets interesting, AJ, and this is where you're gonna go here.
That's for me.
Yep, it is for you. It's your boy, Cordero Patterson, the running back for the Atlanta Falcons. Where would you have him on this list?
I'm going to put him as a flex. I like what he did last season, but again, I do think Tyler Algier is going to step into that backfield in due time. And I also think he's going to play a lot more as a receiver come Cordero Patterson this season. So the way he came on at the end of the year kind of went down. He's, 32, I think, this time and coming around this year. I look at him, if he's going to even play running back that often, I think he's going to slot into that flex role this upcoming season.
I don't have a problem with that. He obviously had a good year this past season and then kind of fell off towards the end. And obviously you bring in a new rookie running back, and there ain't a lot of weapons on that offense, so he may have to catch a little bit more than he runs the ball. So I like the flex appeal for Cordero Patterson.
I think it's a good spot. I think it's going to be inconsistent flex play, but I think that's where you have to put him.
That's money, my guy. That's money. So he's exactly what he is. He's going to be an inconsistent flex play.
Yeah. Cordero Patterson, I'm going to he won't be on my team. I'm not drafting the 32-year-old Swiss Army knife that the team waited until he was that old to figure out how to use the guy. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't know what those teams were doing that had him before. But he is a very physical player. He likes to run hard. He's probably not going to hold up. But there'll be weeks like you'll be like, oh, there's Patterson again. There's Patterson again. But
do you think
it's just not?
Do you think Cordero Patterson ends up on the waiver wire at some point in the season in like fantasy leagues? Like we're talking about him. I think
I don't know. It depends how he's being used. If he goes to do what AJ is suggesting he's going to do, he will be on the waiver wire. I think his sole value right now comes from the fact that they're using him in the running game, because he's just not going to get enough on the outside. He hasn't his whole career in order to sustain a wide receiver, especially with the talented wide receivers in the NFL. So I think if they use him as a running back, then no, because he has that position flexibility. I think he'll stay. But if he loses that, if they're not running him and it turns out to be the Tyler Algier and Damian Williams or whoever's back there, I think that's when you'll see Cordero Patterson hit the waiver wire. Probably not until the middle to end of the season, though, because people are going to be reluctant.
Yeah, I'm about to say
eventually you might.
Yeah,
players fear dropping players on their teams so often. Like they'll hold on and put them at the bottom. Yeah, right. Put them at the bottom of their roster and be like, it'll come. The moment I drop him is the moment I regret it. Yeah.
It took like 10 weeks for everyone to decide on dropping like Allen Robinson, Robbie Anderson, like those type of players.
I felt on Javier Baez in baseball this year. You just got to do it.
There you go.
Sometimes you just have to pull the trigger and trust, man. Like it's just not their year.
Don't be me and be emotionally attached to these players. Move on when you can and better your team. James Conner is next. Aaron, you are the James Conner. You like James Conner. I'm not going to say he's your guy, but you like James Conner this year. You talked about him, and if anyone missed the show last night or yesterday morning, check it out. It's on YouTube now. You talked a lot about James Conner. Where would he fall on this list for you?
It's an RB1. Sheer volume alone is going to be an RB1. Touchdown heavy and a good offense. I like him as an RB1. He was an RB1 last year. I'm not afraid. This is what the running back position to me is the easiest to rank, because when you get outside the top 12, they're all just a bunch of dudes that are not really good, but you know the 12 when you see them. And right now, James Conner is one of those guys. If you have a bell cow back in an offense, I'm going to put him in as a running back one. It's as simple as that. There's not 12 bell cows in the NFL. James Conner's one of them. He's got to be an RB1.
Fair point.
Why'd Pittsburgh let him go?
Because he couldn't stay healthy.
That is the thing, though. When he was healthy in Pittsburgh, he was an RB1. That's what he was. So, I'm okay with that.
First rounder on Najee when you had him there.
Part of the problem was he was very inefficient as a runner in Pittsburgh, and people didn't realize that. His numbers came on sheer volume, he was having to take a lot of hits to produce a lot of points, and then he got hurt. And you just couldn't sustain it. And then you don't want to pay that guy. You just let that guy walk and you go draft a new one for 4 or 5 years. So they're going to do it with Najee now. So I get it, but he's an RB1.
Fair.
And I don't love James Conner. I'm not a fan of his skill set or his talent. I don't think he's one of the most talented running backs in the NFL, but he's extremely hardworking. The man's overcame ball cancer, and anybody that can do that has my support.
Shout out James Conner, shout out James Conner and what he's fought through. RB1, James Conner. Elijah Mitchell, Dylan, where does he fall?
Come on, bro. How do I teeter between 2 and flex? How do I do that again? Aaron, show me.
It's like this. Tough.
It's
teeter. If it makes you feel better, we're talking 12-team league. So that means RB2 is top 24.
He's a flex. Roxon. I got him as a flex. I do. I think I'm telling you, it's the Shanahan way. And this is I can't do anything. I can't give you any numbers or any magical ball or any mystery box here. All I can say is what I've seen over the years from Shanahan. It's not just the last 2 years. It's not just the last 3 years. It's been since 2017 that they haven't repeated as a rusher. And everybody's drafted Mostert last year. And then the ones that said, Mostert's always hurt, let's get Sermon. Well, Sermon didn't see the field either. So no one knows what the hell's going on in San Francisco. I am avoiding him. Honestly, this guy might be a red flag. I might say this guy's a red flag more than anything. But I would say he's a flex as a fantasy football player. I think that's where he could be, because he'll have a few nice weeks, but then he'll lose touches to a hot hand, and some weird shit will happen to where he doesn't finish their season as a leading rusher.
So question, Dylan, you talk about Shanahan. What about the years that Shanahan had Devontae Freeman and he was a top 12 to 15 back every year?
Yeah, he was.
So what differs and what do you think what
doesn't have
is different about San Francisco?
In San Francisco, he never has.
Doesn't he?
He doesn't have. Devontae Freeman was a dog. He doesn't have that number one back in his backfield.
So
Raheem Mostert was not a number one back in his backfield.
Wasn't
Carlos
going there.
Hyde wasn't a number one back in his backfield.
No, but Elijah was.
Elijah Mitchell, to me,
so you're telling me he's going to be the outlier after 5 years of what I witnessed?
Yes. Do you think that Kyle Shanahan tried to just pick a new one? I'm pretty sure he would have loved for those guys to be the guy the next year around. It just didn't happen.
Why did they draft another one?
I mean, it's the NFL, bro. These guys are taking hits after hits after hits. You got guys running through the tackles and because of what you just said, if it does keep happening, don't you want an insurance policy? You did just let go of Raheem Mostert.
You still got Jeff Wilson. You still got
you always do this, Dylan. Stop saying you still got Jeff Wilson. Do you even know who Jeff Wilson is? Honestly, has Jeff Wilson ever been a guy that anybody said is going to come in and be a starter? No. JaMychal Hasty was a late round pick. Nobody came in and said he's going to be the guy. We're talking about people that have come in and said they're going to be the guy. Trey Sermon was supposed to be it. But the very first thing that happened in San Francisco when Trey Sermon was drafted, reports out of camp said Trey Sermon ain't it, that he doesn't have it, and they were already questioning the draft pick. So that was found out early in the year. And Elijah Mitchell was the guy last year. There's no doubt about it. He played the most snaps. He was getting all the carries. He had 20-plus touches in numerous games last year. So to say that they don't have that guy, we saw that guy last year. He was productive. He wasn't a flex play. And I'm not saying that you're wrong in saying that he's a flex play, because I do think there's a chance that injuries creep up with Elijah Mitchell if he's getting that many carries. That's why you go draft another back. It's because Raheem Mostert got paid, was supposed to be the guy, but he got injured. So things happen, yes. But to just say it's because Shanahan doesn't want a running back or isn't going to – that's not the reason why.
We saw the rise. We saw the rise out of Matt Breida. Why wasn't he the next rusher?
You're talking – what rise? This is the problem with this.
He came
2 days
up
in a row now. No.
This
is 2 days in a row you've done this now. You've taken a guy who put together 4, 5, 6 good games of a stretch of a season, and you say, what happened to this guy? What happened to this guy? Rashad Penny, Matt Breida. Just because you have a good stretch of 4 to 5 games doesn't mean you were ever really meant to be the guy. Matt Breida was never the guy in San Francisco, ever. Never. I don't know how else to say it. Never was he the guy they looked at and said, that's our future running back.
Well,
what
he came
gave
up
you that
in a
impression?
similar way that Elijah Mitchell did.
What?
No.
Elijah Mitchell wasn't a high draft pick. Neither was Matt Breida. They were both buried on the depth chart. They both got their shot. They both led their team in rushing.
Elijah Mitchell wasn't buried on the depth chart. He was a rookie last year.
Yeah.
Breida started the first game of the year.
Yeah, because he was forced to.
In Elijah Mitchell's season last year, 207 carries, 963 yards, 5 tutties. In Matt Breida's best year in San Francisco, 153 carries, 814 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I can see where I
led the team in rushing that year.
I can see where Dylan is coming from in terms of like saying that he had a good season in San Francisco and then left. Yeah, but Elijah Mitchell had a better, more impressive season than Matt Breida, who was on his second year at that time. The season before that, he was very inefficient. He was averaging 29 yards a game. Even at that point, he was only averaging 58 yards a game versus Elijah Mitchell's
wasn't even
87.
drafted, bro.
Yeah, and he came up and he got his chance and he started games.
But the point is, Elijah Mitchell, they drafted Elijah Mitchell. They drafted Elijah Mitchell.
The biggest thing too, Dylan, in that stat department, although the yardage isn't that like crazy different, Matt Breida in his best year, yards per game, 58. Elijah Mitchell last year, yards per game, 87. That's where
it's not even close to talent level. You're trying to talk Matt Breida to Elijah.
I was talking about the rise and going into the next year after what Breida did that
Your
one year.
rise is when you put together a few good games. That's the problem, Dylan. You can't do that. Guys come all the time and get opportunities and have good games.
Are you at all fearing the rookie, Davis Price, Fisher Price?
I told you I thought he could be something, but no. And not as long as Elijah Mitchell is healthy. This is all predicated on health. Elijah Mitchell, healthy, is going to be the number 1 back in San Francisco.
Yeah. I like the spot for flex, and I think that's where we're going to keep him. I think we all still agree with that. AJ?
I mean, I would have put him as an RB2, but I mean, we're talking top 24 backs. You're telling me
this is
Elijah
about
Mitchell
volume.
24 backs?
This is about volume.
This is asinine. This
is about volume. What running back gets 20 carries a game and doesn't finish as a top 24 back?
That's fair. We're gonna lock RB2 in and move on here. We had a good discussion.
Because you're an ass. You're an ass.
In a row. Wow. I'm going to bunch these Seattle Seahawks running backs in a group here. Chris Carson's a red flag. Obviously, that there's no There's no need.
You didn't even have to put him on the list.
Honestly, this is a list. This list does not have Michael Carter on it, which is unfortunate. It was just a list I pulled from this website. It unfortunately, does not have Michael Carter on it, but it has Chris Carson. Very weird. But Chris Carson's a red flag. Don't draft him. Kenneth Walker, though, Big Ken Walker.
Why he look like he in a straight jacket?
He is in a jumpsuit. He is.
No. Put him on the bench.
Oh, okay. Damn it.
Come on,
damn it. I think
but
at the end
if
of the
AJ
season,
or Aaron says RB2, put him up there.
No.
Hey, Dylan. Hey, AJ and Aaron both disagreed with you. That's a 2 against 1.
Dylan, you have to come with better. You got to come with a better reason. You can't just say, because you don't say anything. That's why when I speak and I speak to those numbers, you go, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Oh my God.
Hey, let me help Dylan here. Rashad Penny should be a flex.
I was going to say bench.
No, he should be a flex. Because he's going to start the season as the guy.
Yeah.
And barring health, he's going to maintain that job. I don't think he's going to lose that job barring health because he can run if he's healthy. I just don't think he's going to be healthy. He has potential to get up to the RB2 category if he stays healthy for a full year. But I have to put him in flex.
I think whether Rashad Penny stays healthy or not, Ken Walker finishes the season as the starting running back at RB2.
No way.
That's what I'm saying. I think that.
I don't think it gets any different than them splitting carries and being in a
to Dylan's point, Rashad Penny is a very talented running back. The talent is there.
Effective.
He just can't stay healthy. So which he won't. Mark my words, he will get hurt. He will.
Let's group these Rams running backs here, Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. We talked about both these guys in yesterday morning's show. Cam Akers would be RB2. Darrell Henderson would be bench. That's my feel.
That's about what I have.
There we go. Josh Jacobs next here. This is a running back we haven't really we did talk about as well. There was actually arguments about Josh Jacobs here. I think it under the same context of what we're to keep this list consistent with what we have with Elijah Mitchell at RB2. I think he's better than Elijah Mitchell. So I think he has to be an RB2 at that point. Definitely not RB1 and definitely not flex in my opinion. I would have him much higher than both Cordero Patterson and Rashad Penny.
I love how you use those words, Vinny, but you're wrong. Josh Jacobs is an RB1.
I can't. There's RB1s that I have that I can.
Was he an RB1 last year? Was he RB1 the year before that?
He was RB11 last year. Yeah.
So he was an RB1 last year with 800 yards. He was an RB1 the year before that. And now all of a sudden he's no longer an RB1 with now more weapons on the outside, a better team. And the biggest threat behind him is broken ankle Kenyon Drake and some Zamir White rookie.
They're running. That's also considering. So Nick Chubb wasn't an RB1 last year. Cool. Christian McCaffrey wasn't an RB1 last year. Dalvin Cook wasn't an RB1 last year.
Cool.
These are guys that weren't in that RB1 category last year that you have to put them back. You can't not have Dalvin Cook as an RB1. You can't not have Nick Chubb as an RB1. You're not going to have Christian McCaffrey not as an RB1. So you're going to end up taking players out that I just can't see taking out.
Who are you telling me I'm going to take out? You're telling me I'm going to take people out.
Honestly, at this point, I don't know who you're going to take out because as this list progresses, we're putting guys like Leonard Fournette, James Conner, and Josh Jacobs in RB1. I can't see who you're taking out because last year you talk about Josh Jacobs, you're like, oh, he finished as an RB1.
2 years in a row, Vinny.
Last year,
2 years in a row.
Last year, he finished as an RB1 with no Nick Chubb, no Christian McCaffrey, no Dalvin Cook. If we think Javonte Williams is going to be something, if we think DeAndre Swift is going to be something.
Can I ask you a question? When you list your 12 running backs in RB1, are you telling me that all of those guys are going to finish as RB1s? None of those guys are going to get hurt?
I mean, that Christian McCaffrey
the odds say that out of the 12 running backs that are RB1s, probably 4 of them are going to miss time and end up not being RB1s. You want to know one thing the one thing that I'm looking at when I talk about a Josh Jacobs is as banged up as he gets, the dude plays every week. He's going to be on the field. That matters. It's like Zeke. It's like Zeke sucks. Zeke's this. Zeke. It doesn't matter. If you're on the field, you're going to produce. So for me, that's an RB1. You could say, could he finish RB13? Maybe. That's where he's an RB1.
So I personally think this year that Josh Jacobs is going to be a high-end RB2. I think there's potential for an RB1 for sure, but I do believe that there's always room for another player to step up and have a good season. There's always room for the players, as Vinny mentioned, who weren't there last year to get back on their horse and be an RB1. I think Josh Jacobs last year was teetering on that line. I mean, he finished as RB11, so the year before that, it was probably, 8, 9 that I think he finished maybe. So I believe the potential is there for an RB1, absolutely. But I think he more fits in as a high-end RB2.
Yeah. High-end RB2.
We love to talk about people that ain't done it yet. That's what you guys are going to do. You're going to put Javonte Williams in there. You're going to put DeAndre Swift, who probably deserves to be in there. But those are the guys you're going to take out a Josh Jacobs for, who's done it year after year. And you're going to put in a guy that's
you're acting like we're sitting here saying he's going to be an RB23. We're saying he's one spot out of an RB1. That's not asinine to think.
But you're taking a guy that's done it out because you hope somebody else that's never done it is going to do it. That makes zero sense.
But it makes more sense to think about all the regression other players can have, but there's no trajectory for a player who's younger and developing.
What regression?
You don't think that Javonte? You talked about players who get older and they're going to be the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those players can fall back, right? So why can't a younger player who's developing in this league, getting faster and stronger every year, get better and move?
Nobody's saying they can't get better. But you don't just get catapulted into a category that you've never produced at.
But who's talking about a catapult? These players, we can be talking about a guy who's at 14 last year being 12 this year. That's not a catapult. That's
I'm not arguing that, and I'm not saying you can't have that. But that's not what we're talking about. You're talking about taking a guy that's been in the top 10 or top 12 and now just removing them out based on nothing.
Well, why don't you pull up last year's top 12? We'll put them all at number 1 because they did it last year, and then we'll go down the list that way.
It's not just 1 year, AJ. It's consistently doing it year in, year out.
Obviously
the offense makes it.
The only consistency in the NFL is that there will be games played.
I will say one thing in hopes that Vinny doesn't drag it to 1 with my statement. But I'm going to sit here and say it's a brand new offense he's in. There's more weapons on the outside. Maybe that helps him. There's talks about a lessened workload for him. They draft a rookie. They bring in Brandon Bolden who catches passes. It's a brand new offense. We haven't seen him under Josh McDaniels.
If I hear Brandon Bolden catches passes one more time, the dude has 100 career receptions. 100 in like 12 seasons.
But Dylan, remember we did talk about this in a prior show that the new head coach, Josh McDaniels, he is known, he's had in the past where he's used multiple running backs. And I'm not saying Josh Jacobs is going to be splitting carries, but what I am saying,
we can move on from Josh Jacobs because the hate for Josh Jacobs has been there.
There's no hate.
There's no hate. There is hate.
And
it's not. I'm not talking about from you guys. I'm just talking about from the fantasy world in general. Every year, it's Josh Jacobs ain't that good, and every year, when you look up at the end of the year, Josh Jacobs is in the top 12. So, like
his third season.
Every year he's been in the league. I'm sorry, my bad, but all I'm saying is that he's shown it every time he's been in the league, and I'm sorry that I can't just erase that for a guy that I think is going to maybe do something. And I love guys like Javonte Williams and DeAndre Swift. There's no way I'm putting him ahead of Josh Jacobs in a redraft league. No way.
He's tough. He's tough too. The only potential thing going for you there, Aaron, not the only, but one potential thing going for you here is the guy's tough. He gets hurt, but he plays through injuries. The guy's tough. That's something that a couple guys.
You're not saying me, but I'll tell you right now, I don't hate Josh Jacobs by any means. I've come to his defense year in and year out. I just don't think it's crazy to think that there's a chance he may finish as an RB2 at the very top.
I didn't say it was crazy. I'm just saying, why are we diminishing what he's done just because we want to put somebody new in the top 12? That's what I'm saying.
I mean, they have the same thought process too. Like, there's always new people in the playoffs. Like, teams and players get better. Like, there's an opportunity for it to happen.
What I'm saying is, why do we want to do that? Because we want to see Javonte Williams in the top 12. Because Vinny wants to see those guys on the top tier list of a running back 1. Not because there's an actual analysis behind why they're going to do it. It's because we want to see them there. That's why.
I don't think anyone was going to be able to predict that Cordero Patterson was going to end up in the top 12 last season. Good thing no one put him in a RB1.
And you wouldn't put him in, there because, again, he's an outlier. That was an outlier season. But a guy who's done it back-to-back years, that's not an outlier.
Again,
difference.
It's what AJ said. It's okay to be saying that there's going to be some fresh meat as RB1s this year and take the next step forward rather than just because it could be.
Did you rank James Conner or Leonard Fournette as an RB1 last year, Vinny? So don't act like there's not fresh meat because we have 2 new people in there right now.
What I'm saying is, if like AJ was joking, but it really is becoming more and more serious at this point, literally taking the top 12 from last season and then just shoving them right back in at the RB1 position.
That's not what we're doing, first of all. But
it's not.
yes. some people
right.
should be shoved right where they belong because they produce year in and year out right where they're at. There's nothing wrong with that.
Let's continue. We've got a lot left to go.
Half these players are useless, by the way. So
we're going to start rolling through
one
them.
of these guys.
Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon flex. Javonte Williams RB2.
I like it.
I thought you guys wanted to put him as an RB1.
Dylan has him in his top 10 for fantasy players.
I like him. I think he accelerates
possible.
this year. He jumps.
I'm the biggest Javonte Williams lover. You know that. It's possible, but I'm not putting him in my top 10.
Yeah, I wouldn't say top 10. I again think he's a high-end RB2 with the RB1 potential.
Yeah, agreed. Melvin Gordon, is he last year it was tough to gauge what Melvin Gordon was going to do, and then he ended up having a very flexy season. So is he back again in the flex section?
Near-death experience.
So I imagine he'd be a flex. I would think
used.
Yeah,
I would think that they would be looking to get Javonte more touches this season, and not phasing Melvin Gordon out, but giving Javonte a little bit more of the workload instead of an even split.
Remember when an old DeMarco Murray was in a backfield with a young Derrick Henry? He sort of just fizzled out too.
Yeah. I mean, they also abused him in Dallas like a year and a half before that, so there wasn't much options left.
Dylan, man.
He was legit when he was there. I'm not saying he didn't get any carries. All I'm saying was they eventually gave the fresh meat over. DeMarco had his run.
No, of course. I mean that
like 400 carries worth in Dallas.
Yeah.
Oh, he had his run.
He got his run.
In Tennessee though, in Tennessee he had 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns in a year.
He was legit in Tennessee
before he turned 30 and he died like all the other running backs.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Except for Frank Gore.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Ronald Jones, the new running back in Kansas City.
Ronald Jones on this list.
Is he a red flag or we not? Because honestly, in Kansas City, you just don't know who's going to be. I mean, going with Clyde? Going with Rojo?
No.
Bench, red flag Rojo.
Bench would be Rojo. Ooh.
Clyde is a flex.
Yeah, I would agree. Clyde is a flex. Bench.
I was going to bench Rojo, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. If
I'm
they
not
put him on the field,
Ronald
they'll probably use him. I'm not drafting him.
I'm assuming if we're saying bench, is that not draft or because I'm not drafting Ronald Jones.
I would say benching is still drafting Ronald Jones.
Well, then that's why I would put him in red flag because I'm not drafting Ronald Jones in no way, shape, or form.
I'm not drafting Ronald Jones either.
I am also not drafting Ronald Jones, so we move him there. And
I'll be the first to the waiver wire if Clyde gets hurt, though.
Yeah, for sure. Clyde flex appeal, I'm okay with that. Devin Singletary, James Cook on this list. I know you laugh at the James Cook thing. He is on this list. We are going to talk about him.
Laughing.
Nobody laughed.
There's no need to laugh at James Cook.
Why do you assume you know what I'm thinking? Because I know who you're talking to.
I am, because you have laughed at me before when I talk about James Cook.
No, so I just think you love him. That's all.
I really do like
him. For no
him.
reason, but they both honestly should be flex appeals. Both of them.
Both? Both
of them.
You know both?
Because you want to know why both of them should? Because I don't know which one is.
So if and when one of them takes over, where does the other one go? Straight to the trash?
No, I don't think James Cook. I don't think James Cook will ever have an every down role.
Okay.
The only one that has a chance of having an every down role is Devin Singletary.
Okay, that's fair.
Is Zach Moss just gone? Like that guy's just gone?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't believe in Zach Moss anymore.
At one point in time, he was supposed to be the guy over Devin Singletary, and then he just stopped playing football apparently. And then Devin Singletary started showing up when we were waiting on it for so long. I mean, for me personally, and I guess we're talking about the draft, but honestly, I'm red flagging both of them because every time I believe in a Buffalo Bills running back in the last couple of years,
the offense is too good.
I'm probably not drafting either one of them. They'll probably neither one. I'll probably never end up with any of them because I'm too afraid to draft them. But they are draftable players,
right?
So that's the problem. Is somebody's got to draft them because if they go undrafted, I'm gonna pick one of them up.
At least a flex is fine. I think that's a good spot until it all shakes out. Damien Harris, one of those running backs. He actually led the league in touchdown percentage for his fantasy points. Talk about touchdown dependency when we talked James Conner last night. Here's another guy who really relied heavily on the touchdowns to get his fantasy points. Where does Damien Harris go? I feel like this is tough.
RB2.
RB2.
That's where I want to slot him, but I also felt like
Unanimous.
it was tough because I would feel a lot better about that if I knew who they had as an offensive coordinator, or if Josh McDaniels was still there.
Oh, I thought AJ was going to say because Pierre Strong is going to take over.
Oh, eventually, probably next season, but not right now.
Ramondre? Someone say Ramondre?
Breece Hall,
the truth, homie.
Breece Hall, flex until you see it, right? I feel like this is a flex until you see it. Any rookie running back like that is flex until you see it.
Unless they come into a spot where they're going to get the carries and it's a good offense. Like Najee last year. Like that was different. You're not going to put him as a flex. But there's not enough there until we see it.
Yeah. Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert.
Ooh.
Mostert
Red
you
flag,
can put in
Mostert.
the flag.
Yeah. Chase Edmonds, RB2,
I have Chase
flex.
Edmonds as an RB2, but I think he's going to have a good year.
I was about to say I honestly would. I feel like he could end up as the lowest end RB1.
What did you say?
Think
there's no way we're about to do this right now.
No.
If you put Josh Jacobs as a high end RB2 and he's an RB1, I will come through this damn.
He's my new guy. Hey, Chase Edmonds
he will be the middle,
homie.
He will be the middle of the pack RB2. He won't be close to RB1 and he won't be close to flex. He'll just be a solid 12-point guy.
I'm okay with that. I agree. Jonathan Taylor, obviously RB1.
Nope, RB2. Nope, RB.
Shut up.
You're repeating the list.
Nyheim Hines, flex, bench.
I'm not drafting him, so it'd be a red flag. But he's a bench player.
I'd draft him.
I have a sneaky suspicion this year that Nyheim Hines is a flex play.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we have that every year.
No,
I felt that way last year.
I feel like it was last year too.
Well, because the year before he had some show up games and people were like, all right, they've got because this time.
Think about the quarterback play when Phillip Rivers was there. He liked that dump off type game. Carson Wentz didn't want to do none of that. That motherfucker wanted to run around and throw the ball deep. Matt Ryan, veteran, knows how to get rid of the ball, gets it to his running backs. Again, this is more of a hunch than anything. I think Nyheim Hines is a good flex play, but it's hard. 2 out of the 4 years that Nyheim Hines has been in the league, he's had a running back 3 and then a running back 2 season, and then he's been running back 4, running back 5, flex. It's been inconsistent.
No consistency.
He'll be an inconsistent bench player. That's where I think he is.
As stupid as this may sound, I think he is a high-end bench player. He's a fringe.
He's better than Mark Ingram to me.
That's what I'm saying. I think out of all the bench players we're going to have, I think he's going to be one of the higher-end bench players. James Robinson, Travis Etienne. Dylan, I'm going to let you say where these two belong.
I think Liz Frank, that's scary. I think no injury, fresh first rookie year would be an RB2 for Mr. Travis, but I think he's a flex. What I'm hearing from James Robinson is that he'll be ready for training camp.
Nope, he's not. I heard today that he is not going to be ready for training camp.
They're taking their time with him, but they said camp was a possibility.
I heard today that he won't be ready for training camp, and we all need to start pumping the brakes on this James Robinson being ready for the sooner timetable rather than later timetable, because the man got injured in week 16. The timetable, it just doesn't make sense. I am okay doing both flex at this point for both these players.
Boys,
that's where I have them.
Boom.
And I'm probably not touching either one of them. I like James Robinson's ADP better.
Yeah,
for shits and giggies. What about in a dynasty league or a keeper league?
Oh, any dynasty, you're taking Travis Etienne, and Travis Etienne is going to be at worst an RB2.
Yeah, for sure.
Too much investment there.
Marlon Mack, Houston Texans.
Seriously, red flag.
Got it. Derrick Henry back at RB1.
Yes.
Yep, there it is. No. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you can put him there. But you guys talk about guys that fall out. Like I am very, very concerned about Derrick Henry, and I rank him high because I give him the credit that he deserves for being as good as he's been. Talk about a guy that might drop out.
I worry about him. I do see a low end running back one season from Derrick Henry. I don't see the normal RB top 5 running back type of season from Derrick Henry, to be completely honest.
Worried because they pushed him back last season? I mean, he only played one game and it wasn't a lot.
I worry about the injury. It was a broken foot to a big man in a big body frame. I worry about his age. I worry about the amount of carries he has on his body from college all the way to the NFL over the past couple of seasons. I worry about that offense. I worry about that offensive line. I worry about them having no weapons on the outside to try to take away any kind of defensive pressure as far as just stopping the run. I worry about it all. I just don't think it's a great situation for him.
Yeah.
It's a fair argument.
He's good, and he'll be good, but
yeah. Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard. Aaron, you can take this one.
RB1 flex.
Dylan, do you have any thoughts on putting Ezekiel Elliott as an RB1?
I'll save my breath. I'll never be able to win that argument. Carry on.
It's not an argument. It's not an argument. He's had his worst seasons, and he's a RB1 every year. So when are you going to tell me he's any different?
AJ, are you?
Theory.
I think that's fine.
Done deal.
If you want to do it, you can move Tony Pollard higher to the flex end.
The highest end of flex.
I mean, legit. We all laughed at Ezekiel Elliott's bad last 2 years. He was 7-9.
I mean,
the only season he's been outside the top 12 was the season he got suspended and missed 6 games, and he finished RB13. Like, I don't care. He's like Derrick Henry at this point, except he has not been missing games.
It's true.
And he's not 30.
Miles Sanders. This one might be a tough one for a lot of people just because of his season last year. He hurt a lot of people last year. But like we said before, you can't be emotional. You have to get back on the track here and get back into it. Miles Sanders, where does he belong, AJ?
I think Miles Sanders can get back into the RB2 conversation this season. The offense is better. There's more weapons and more opportunity. I think he'll be back and be decent enough to hit you for an RB2. Top 24 seems in the range of his talent and usage.
I agree.
He might be at 24, but I think he makes the top 24 as well.
I think I see him around that RB18 range, like that, like not the back part of the RB2, but like just that right in the middle sweet spot of the RB2. I see for Miles Sanders because he has the offense is much better, and I think they'll have a little bit more goal line chances and more opportunities for him to hopefully get in the end zone. Antonio Gibson, Washington Commanders, RB2 flex, RB2 flex, RB2. RB2. I guess.
I feel like Aaron just stopped talking. Aaron's like, I'm not saying anything to you.
Well, I mean, if we're going to have that conversation about Miles Sanders, and then we're going to say he's an RB2, and then I mean, you look at some of those RB2s up there. I'm taking Antonio Gibson over most of them.
Taking him over Elijah Mitchell?
Yep.
Over.
Would you are you considering Antonio Gibson in the RB1 conversation?
Antonio Gibson would be my number 4 RB2 on that list. I'd have Josh Jacobs ahead of him. I'd have Cam Akers. I'd have Javonte Williams, and I'd have Antonio Gibson.
That's fair. I don't hate that. Dylan, Saquon Barkley,
RB2.
Hesitant because you wanted to put him where?
Not hesitant. I couldn't speak.
Okay, I heard the hesitation, and another player that injuries, and he did not look right last season when he came back, and
that offensive line. Well, it got better, but still.
Okay, fair. RB2 Saquon, DeAndre Swift. This is where Aaron will probably get pretty mad because I see an RB1.
Me too.
DeAndre Swift this year. The talent is there. The offensive line is there. Everything seems to be there for DeAndre Swift if he can stay healthy for an RB1 season.
He's a dog too.
AJ?
I also have the potential of him turning into an RB1 for the season. I think the timing is there. I think he has the requisite pieces to make it happen. Now he just has to do it.
What? I have him right where I have Javonte Williams as an RB2, high end.
Okay.
Those two are the guys could crack the top 12 if the things that we say fall into place for them. But I haven't seen them. Like that's it. Like Javonte Williams still has, that Melvin Gordon there, and then Deandre Swift, he still has to deal with the fact that he has no quarterback. The team's not very good. He's been banged up. So again, he's potential's there. I love DeAndre Swift, but I'm a guy that likes to show. Put it this way: if I have to take two guys off of that RB1 list, if I only could put 12 in my RB1 list because that's all that can finish as an RB1, I would probably take Derrick Henry off, and I would probably take.
Wait, so we're not trying to do only 12 at the RB1 position? Was that what? Because originally before this show started, during the show, you were like, we doing this as 12, like RB1 is the top 12.
What I'm saying is, guys, there's a different conversation between saying the guys that are going to finish top 12 or saying the guys that can finish in the top 12 as far as like what we feel like they can finish as. So that's all I'm talking about. I don't know which way we were referring to it. I'm assuming you just wanted 12 guys in the top.
Yeah, because if we're going more than 12, we're talking about guys that could potentially be RB1s and going beyond 12. It is fair to throw Josh Jacobs in there and Javonte Williams in there as well. That's the fair part. Let's go to David Montgomery, Chicago Bears. Mess of an offense, mess of a team. Tough to rank. Dylan.
Ow. Oh boy, it's going off. This God, I hate their line. I hate their quarterback. No, I don't hate their quarterback. I hate their offense. I hate their head coach. Hate their division. He's a bell cow back. Aaron said you don't mention bell cow backs. That's the only reason he's an RB2. It's the only reason he's an RB2.
I'm on board with that. No problem here. AJ?
I mean, yeah. I think it's a health thing again too, though. But I mean, he was for the most part okay. It's harsh, man. Because he has RB1 potential. I just don't think his team has enough around it to make it happen. Like this is one of those where you might just have everybody in the box and you're beating down David Montgomery. Yeah. So I'm okay with the RB2.
I think it's the easiest one of the ones to rank.
RB2.
Been in the league 3 years. Been RB2 top, at least an RB2 in all 3 years. He had the year where he was RB4, which was wild and crazy. He got hot late down the stretch with the easy schedule. I think he's a simple. Yeah, he finished RB4 2 years ago. Yeah, I actually think he has the upside to be a top 10 running back, but the team is just not going to allow that. Yeah. And that so he is that kind of just lock him in. He's a starter every week, though, in my opinion, as an RB2. Right. And I think he's one of those set it and forget it guys. You forget he's on your team. Yeah. And at the end of the season, he had a good year, but it wasn't special.
I think the next round of running backs that we're going to get into, we can easily do here, at least for some of them. Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Najee Harris, Nick Chubb, all RB1s, all 5 of them.
They can't be. Then we got too many in there again.
Way too many. You can only fit 3 more names up there, Vincent.
10, 11, who's falling back? So I'll tell you right now.
You only got 9.
Joe Mixon and Najee Harris need to go in there.
Ooh. I'm gonna say it. Nick Chubb is not an RB1 to me this year.
I agree. I think Aaron Jones should be an RB1 over Nick Chubb.
I think Aaron Jones is the out of all those running backs. I think Aaron Jones is the most certain one. That I'm putting in there at RB1.
Whoa!
You talk about bold takes. Your generation. Oh God, the bold takes. It kills me. It's your stupid generation. Bro, you just gave one, and that's asinine.
Yeah, to put him above Najee Harris and Joe Mixon and Dalvin Cook.
They're getting the volume and the catch work.
I think we talked about it earlier this offseason about how we could easily see Aaron Jones being the leading receiver on this team.
But that means he's not getting the carries.
He still could.
That means A.J. Dillon is getting the work out of the backfield.
Okay. That's fair. I did not consider that. I did not consider that part. To me, I think of he's getting the catches and he's getting the carries, but I can see that A.J. Dillon comes in and takes away carries.
I do think Aaron Jones finishes as an RB1. I really do.
100%.
But I'm not putting him above Najee Harris or Joe Mixon or Dalvin Cook, in my opinion.
Okay.
I'm okay if you guys want to take out a Leonard Fournette or a James Conner. I think they're going to get in. Or if we want to assume an Alvin Kamara 6 games and you don't want to put him in there, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we could put Kamara off. Put him as a 2. Okay. Let's get our top 10 here. I like Leonard, though. I really do.
I do think Leonard's going to have that RB1 season.
That's 12 right there, right?
Because you're talking about the 6 games away from Alvin Kamara, but think about the 6 games of the usage
where
that
Leonard
Fournette's going to have.
I like Henry.
I'm thinking about it being Derrick Henry.
Me too.
But don't we have 12 already?
No.
Well, that's without I guess since you don't have Nick Chubb in there, are we all on board Nick Chubb not being in there?
No, because without Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett's the quarterback. If I'm every defense, I am stopping Nick Chubb. And I'm not saying he's not going to have a good season. He's still going to be an RB2, but it's just not. He doesn't get any work out of the passing game. That's the problem. If their offense isn't good enough to get in near the red zone for him to score touchdowns, he is going to be limited.
Okay. So that would be our top 12 right there for our running backs. Right there. And then the rest is, I don't want to say handcuffs, but A.J. Dillon is RB. Does A.J. Dillon have RB2 value? Because of the fact, like what I mentioned before with how I think that Aaron Jones gets a ton of the pass catching work, could possibly be their leading receiver. He does have
RB2 value. I truly believe that.
Yeah. I think we've watched
was an RB2 last
take
year.
Another step up.
Yeah.
But you got
Aaron Jones missed some time.
So this would be
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this.
High-end flex.
Yeah, he could be a top-end flex.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you got 12 more out of the RB2 you got to run through.
Yeah, and I can't.
Alexander Madison should be on the bench.
Yep.
Just because he's a handcuff. Kareem Hunt should be a flex.
Yep. J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards are the final 2.
Oof.
One flex, one bench.
Yeah.
Gus Edwards, the bench.
J.K. a flex.
Mm-hmm.
So that would put one too many in the flex department if we are trying to go that.
Well, that's not true because you can have more than 12
Yeah,
flex.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. So this is our final tier.
Screenshot it. See how stupid we are at the end of the season.
For those listening to us on podcasting platforms, go check out our YouTube or our social media pages to find out the full entire list. If you're watching us on YouTube, you see it right here. This is our running back tiers: RB1, RB2, flex, bench, and the red flags of the year. Dylan still, for some reason, took a screenshot, although it'll be posted. And so that's it. Fun and Games Friday comes to a close. Our first morning show week comes to an end.
Pancakes.
Oof.
Coffee.
It's tough,
Joe.
huh?
We can't wait till 30 minutes to get into any tiers list we do.
Never
know how long that takes.
Never again will that happen.
The funny part is I thought it was going to go pretty quick this time.
I thought it would go quicker than what it did, but it did not. We do love the chatter, and that just that was that. Either way, it was a good show. Had a good time. Everybody watching, I'm sure you had a good time. Everybody listening, I'm sure you had a great time. Please drop us a review. Let us know what you think of the show. That's it.
Stop talking and just end it. Shit.
Jeez.
I am doing that right now. I'm not even going to do social
IFB, let's go. Bye.
You know
Producer.
what? Okay, great. For AJ Johnson, I am me. We will see
you tomorrow.
Not tomorrow, but